Howard Wiig, Code Green, ThinkTech Hawaii. I've had some interesting guests with me, but my guest today is Florian Chupeau, a French Cameroonian with a fascinating background. And we're here today, if you hadn't gathered from the background there, to talk about bees. Very essential to the well-being of this planet. And I have with Florian one of the leading bee experts. He's made his way all the way from France to the Cameroons, back to France, to Massachusetts, where he graduated, and now he is in Hawaii. Well, I'll let him describe why he's in Hawaii. It gets rather complex and very fascinating. Florian, why don't you begin by telling us a little bit about your background, since it is so fascinating.
Well, thank you for introducing me so kindly, Howard. So my name is Florian Chupeau. I'm French Cameroonian, as you mentioned. So I'm born in France, and then I moved after 3 weeks in Cameroon for 3 years, where I've been embracing the very base touch of the Cameroon culture. I came back to France for most of my studies, where I get my degree from in biology, mainly in science, but specialized in biology. So I'm a young entrepreneur that is developing some social development program in Cameroon, mainly in Africa, but mainly in Cameroon, where I came from. I was an ambassador for UNICEF for a couple of years, and I was craving for helping people and develop some long-term program for the youth and for the future of Africa. And after I got my biology degree, I decided that Boston might be a great place to evolve and to have a new beginning, I guess.
And how did you learn English then? Was that in France? Is that your second language?
Yes, so French is my first language, and English has been introduced to me around the age of 11. And then in high school I was specialized in English, so I was in a specialized English major, where I was in science. And we have a couple of subjects that were taught in English, mainly biology, history as well, and sometimes we were going also in physics in English.
Interesting.
Yes.
So when you made the transition from Boston, or from southern France to Boston, it was probably a very strange experience.
Indeed.
But at least, yeah.
Indeed it was, especially because I used to study the British English, and arriving in Boston with a very strong accent was not very easy, but I made my way through the language, I guess, and I worked it up very hard. I spent a lot of time in the library and talking with my teachers and people surrounding me. And Boston is a very fast-paced environment, so there's a lot of international people, a lot of people that are willing to help you, and as long as you have the motivation, I guess people will push you up forward.
Yeah, you're speaking like a classic immigrant to America.
Yeah, I did arrive 2 years and a half now in the United States of America, mainly in Boston, where I was studying social entrepreneurship and social development. But I'm trying to go back and forth as much as I can, since I have most of my projects that are developing back in Cameroon.
Yeah, we'll get into that in detail.
Sure.
So Massachusetts and Hawaii are the opposite side of America, and the culture in Massachusetts is slightly different from the culture in Hawaii. So.
Indeed. But you know, when I grew up in France, I've been always surrounded by science. I've been always my dad is a biomedical engineer, and my mom is a nurse. So always being surrounded by science, always been surrounded by nature. Always willing to learn, that eager to discover where we come from, what we're made of, what is surrounding, how things are working. I guess Boston is one of those cities where we had one of the top university in the world. I've been working closely with MIT, Harvard, Boston College, Northeastern University was the one who incubating the program. I've been one of the founding members of African student in Massachusetts, which enable us to link all these universities and be able to be more stronger back in Cameroon. So I guess yes, wherever you are, as long as you feel the people that have the power and the willingness to push you upward in what you want to do, it's all the same. Motivation is what's matter, I guess.
Yeah, talk about an intellectual network. You've named some of the top universities in the entire world.
The world, yes.
And then
indeed.
you got to associate with them. What a privilege.
Yes, indeed. I mean, I had the chance in France to study with, among very great people. My dad as well always pushed me through museum, encyclopedia, very high level of thinking. I had the chance also, even though I was studying in a community college, most of my teachers were very open to discussion. Were always pushing us through new discoveries, through new conferences, and you know when you're in a community college that have very diverse background and which is supposed to fuel the university that are in the top rank of the world, you teacher, even though you're supposed to be in community college, are pushing you forward because you need to acquire the level of those universities. And in my opinion, I'm somebody who always try to go higher, and I'm not afraid to be in very intellectual environment.
Yeah, you mentioned that as a kid you asked so many questions that your father finally kind of gave up and just gave you encyclopedias and dictionaries.
Indeed. I was always asking about things that were out of proportion for my age. I was asking how the moon came around, how all these plants were growing up, and the answer was never enough. It's you will learn that later. But that was not an answer for me. I needed something to be able to be quiet and go to sleep. So at one point, he just understood that I had a real eager and desire to learn about science. And yeah, my first encyclopedia was actually on Microsoft. I remember it on a computer, and I was able to look through the subject on it. And every single day, I would spend hours and hours on that computer to discover as many subjects as I could.
So no video games, no TV.
No, not really.
Yeah.
We had a very good TV show that was called C'est pas sorcier, which was a show for actually kids until grown up and adults. And he had different level of understanding, but he was giving a lot of principle of science. And he was on the prime time, and my dad would always open the TV and push me in front of it. So yes, it's a different type of knowledge, but I had the chance to always having fun with it. So that's why I guess it keeps me growing and keeps me on track of it.
So this is a very, very strong science background now. And now you describe yourself as an entrepreneur, specifically a social entrepreneur. And that's been your main training in Boston. So what is a social entrepreneur?
Well, I would say that being an entrepreneur is starting new things. Social entrepreneurship is it's pretty new. That's why I actually decided to move to Boston, because the major was not available in France at the moment. But it's a project that is here to help people in a new way, meaning trying to help people in the long-term run and try to benefit the people in a way that the population we're helping are able in the long term to catch on the solution we gave them, and to find new solution and to plan for themselves on the long run. As we said that it doesn't help anybody to fish the ship for somebody, but you need to taught them how to feed the fish to make a real difference. That's what we train to. That's what we train to do. In Boston, I joined Youth Action Africa, as well as Jola Venture, and we developed some program with the university where we asked the engineer to not only develop some solution, but to bring this solution on site, develop them with the population on site, so in Cameroon for the summer program, and then create a link and discussion with those populations to be able to have feedback and tell them how to approach the new problem that will rise in their way.
Yeah, let's get in later. Let's get into
Okay.
real
I'm sorry.
specifics. No, that is just fascinating. So somehow you sort of got your American introduction in Boston, one of the highest powered places around.
Indeed.
And then you come to Honolulu, which is not exactly a high-powered place. How in the world did that happen?
Well, you know, Hawaii is such a wonderful place. If you want to be a biologist, or if nature is one of your top priority, I won't lie to you. Hawaii is very similar to Africa. The only difference is for the moment. Internet is here, even though my LTE is sometimes not as good as in Boston, but we have here resources that we, for the moment, and I'm really saying for the moment, lacking in Africa, in Cameroon, but we actually getting, but also because the equivalency of the way to work are closer from Boston to Hawaii than they are from Boston to Cameroon. So in Cameroon, I would need to create the knowledge. I would be obliged to every day go on site and go in the laboratory. While now, I'm really happy to have people around me that already have some of the knowledge available, and I'm able to understand this knowledge, understand where they come from. But it's such a great thing as a time matters. To have this knowledge already available, and means, and UH have a great facility that sometimes we're allowed to use. So it's a bless to be here in Hawaii.
Yeah, well, we need to take a break now, but let's get into what specifically you're doing in Hawaii, and then let's talk about Cameroon. So, ThinkTech Hawaii Code Green, Florian Chupeau, back in a minute.
Here's the deal. I'm Jay Fidel. I'm the host of Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, which is the Energy Policy Forum's program on Wednesday. That's how we call Wednesday Energy Wednesday. We call it Energy Wednesday every Wednesday. Are you surprised? Okay, and we get guys like Jim Alberts here from Hawaiian Electric who can tell us what's really going on in energy. We want to be informed. It's so important. It's the most important initiative in our state. Clean energy is major, okay? And that's why we cover it on this show. That's the deal. What do you think, Sharon?
I think that's great. That's why we're here every Wednesday from 4 to 5, and we hope you all join us so we can hear people like Jim coming on our show and co-host Ray Starley from Hawaii Energy.
Okay, Jim, you've been here today. You've seen this. You heard what she said. What do you think?
I think it's a tremendous opportunity for people to come together and talk about the issues. Oftentimes there isn't a good forum to bring these key issues out into the public, and this is a tremendous way to go about it. And the activity of this show is essential to keep talking about energy, because as you said, it's such an essential part of our lives that we need to pay attention to it, and we need to think about the future.
Okay, Ray, your turn.
Well, this is a special time in the history of Hawaii where we're making some pretty radical changes in the way we use energy and generate energy. And this show is the one place you can count on coming to every Wednesday and hearing something about the latest issues that are on the table, being discussed, that will affect us all going forward. So come join us, and if you have some ideas you want to share with us about energy, give us a call and let us know. We'll put you up here and let you talk for an hour. So come see us.
Thanks, Ray. Thanks, Sharon. Thanks, Jim. It's great to be, from ThinkTech's point of view, it's great to have this show. We love the show. It's our most important show. So come around and listen to us 4 to 5 on Wednesday. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Good afternoon again. ThinkTech Hawaii, Code Green. The buzz is about bees. Gives me great pleasure to be with Florian Chupeau from Cameroon and France. And what we described before is his journey from France to the Boston area, made a lot of networks, and now he is here associating with general population and doing research at UH. And I know you can't say a whole lot about it, but what can you tell us about what you're doing here?
Well, here I'm trying to get more knowledge about the way of implementing new bees, new hives, the proper way to raise this population without having, disease, having proper food, amount of food for them to be sustainable on the long run. I'm learning new techniques as well to be able to cure if anything is happening inside my hives. I'm also learning a lot about the production of honey. I had the chance to have my grandfather was actually a beekeeper.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
Exactly,
Yeah,
who was the one who opened my eyes through the bee and the bees environment. So all these techniques, as raw honey, the legislation as well that the United States of America require for the market, since I'm working with African honey, but we're selling it on the European and American market. So all these techniques, all this knowledge that people has been gathering here in Hawaii, or what I'm looking for here. And especially because the cold in Boston shut down the bees for the past couple of months until the coming of the spring. And especially here, right now in Hawaii, there's the varroa worm. That is actually one of the worm that is killing the bees, and is still not appear in Cameroon for the moment. But it's great for me to see what are the disadvantage and the problem that these worms are causing to the hives, to anticipate them and prepare the populations and the bees and the beekeepers to face those issues whenever the worm will come to rise in Cameroon.
So you mentioned a disease of the bees. I thought the bees were being, we have a massive die-off.
Yes, it's a massive dying that we're experiencing all over the world, but there's many different causes due to the massive dying. One of them is the use of pesticides, heavy use of pesticides. Monoculture as well is one of the issues that are causing the death of bees. And the varroa worm is also a very little worm that is getting inside the hives, and that is stinging the bees and sucking the blood out of them. And these can cause to moving problem, so they won't be able to move their wings anymore. And these will also lead into the spread of disease inside the hives. And the worst is a case happening is those worms goes into the alveolus and kills the larvae, preventing from a new population of bees to come up. So this is also one of the worst, I would say, case that could happen in Cameroon. And that's why I'm trying to learn as much as I can here with such great facilities here in Hawaii before coming back to Africa.
So you're working with others to, you're actually looking in a microscope at these worms and seeing how they function?
Yes, exactly. I had to do that as well, to be able to identify them. to be able by myself back in Cameroon to be able to see them, seek for them. But even in Europe, during the past 10 years, we've been looking for it. We've been trying to find some solution. Chemical solution came to rise on the market, but the efficiency goes only up to 70%, which is not enough. And now we trying to look for more ecological and biological solution. That's where we're trying to focus right now, and that's why I'm working on both both sides right now.
Can you give examples of a biological solution, or is that confidential? Or?
Well, I would say there's, for the moment, there've been some technique that has been using inside the hive. So whenever we discover some of the varroa inside, we will take out some of the comb out of the hive. Same thing, as a spread on the body. When you see that the spread is starting on somewhere, you're trying to cut the very base of it. However, these cost a lot to the beekeepers. So we're also trying to put some solution, chemical solution at the entrance of the hive, and as soon as these varroa worms will try to entrance, they would die from the chemicals and be dying outside the hive. In order to not give any chance to these worms to get inside the hive.
Interesting. So yeah, and they're worms, so they're not flying in there.
No, yes, exactly. But they're going very, very fast. In 1 year, in France, for instance, they went from the north of France all the way to the south. Yes, they were in the region of Alsace, which is very up north, and in 1 year they went all the way to the south. And we experienced some massive dying. But this is, this is also due to the way we're traveling nowadays. Same thing, I don't know if you already heard about the Japanese hornet.
No, I haven't heard about that.
So this is a big hornet that is going through the hives and doing massive killings inside the hive. So it's 2 to 3 times the size of a regular honeybee. Obviously, the power of these hornets are very intense, and they literally chop the bees alive. So due to the moving of population, human that are taking some European bees to Asia and vice versa, we experiencing some fight between these Japanese hornets and European bees. However, Asian bees had the chance to develop some techniques, through the times. However, the times frame we're talking is 1,000 years, and for the moment, none of the European bees are now able to adapt themselves and to find any techniques. However, Asian bees have a very interesting techniques to fight the Japanese hornet. They actually form a ball around the hornet, and they're starting to move their wings to elevate the temperature up to 37 degrees Celsius in order to kill the hornet, but still to be able to support the temperature for themselves. So this is one of the techniques that we've been seeing very recently in the hives in Asia, and now we're trying to see if some of those techniques could be implemented in European hives, or at least for the European bees. But this will take time and many different methods that I'm not able yet to to express or to manage properly.
So the bees raise the temperature by flapping their wings?
Exactly, yes. It's the same thing, during the winter, they would all gather around the queen to keep the temperature around 35 degrees Celsius, the optimal temperature for them inside the hives. Because if the hive is getting too hot, they will get a little bit of water and still flapping the wings to reduce the heat of the hive. And if the hive is getting too cold, they will gather all together and do the same thing. Yeah, so they're actually able to control until a certain extent, obviously, to control the temperature of the hives.
Wow.
For the labs is to not be too hot or too cold, and I find it very brilliant to kill actually the Japanese hornet.
Yeah. That evolved over a long period of
Yes,
time.
indeed,
obviously.
indeed.
Yeah,
And we actually see that during that period of time where all these bees are gathering around that Japanese hornet, that the brain is changing. Yes, usually I would say that 70% of the faculties of the brain is allocating, to, I would say that roughly, but to go gather pollen and having basic instinct thought and reflection, and 30% is of the brain would be allocated to think, and in those moments, it's reversed. It's 30% is allocating to doing basic duties and gathering pollena and doing the basic duty of the hive, and the other 70% is now allocated to think. And I think this connection to all these bees makes what is important is to kill the Japanese hornet and to not kill ourselves, because by 1 or 2 degrees, the bees can die too.
That is fascinating, and that calls for our break number 2. ThinkTech Hawaii Code Green, Florian Chupeau. Back in a minute.
Aloha, I'm Hunter Hevlin, host of Sustainable Hawaii here at ThinkTech Hawaii. You can tune in every week on Thursday at 2 p.m. to see interviews with sustainability professionals from around the state and even further abroad, learning about activities with water management, food security, waste management, and a whole host of other fascinating opportunities to get engaged with making a greener island. So if you're interested in making the transition from consuming individuals to communities of producers, check us out every Thursday.
Aloha, my name is Paul Jackson, better known as PJ, and my local interest is in sports. I have my own sports radio show at KWAI AM 1080 that you can stream live. I also have my own website, pjsportsradio.com. We have live guests in studio, and we talk about discussions and topics that everyone wants to know locally here on the islands. We cover everything from surfing to basketball to whatever's going on locally, sports-wise. We try to do our best and cover the topics in depth as much as we can. Once again, thank you for joining PJ here on Hawaii Sports Update. Mahalo.
Back with Florian Chupeau, Code Green, the buzz of bees. We're having a fascinating conversation about what makes life difficult for bees and what Florian and his companions are researching to do about it. And we were talking about a Japanese hornet, which is about 3 times the size
Exactly.
of a normal bee, and he gets into the hive, and just a small number of them can wreak havoc with the other.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's something that is very very terrible, especially because they don't usually attack by themselves. They attack by 3, 4, 6, 10 of them, and it's a very difficult task for the guards, because there is actually a very good architecture in a hive. So you would have some guards bees at the very entrance of the hive that are supposed to guard the entrance and make sure that any intruders are getting caught and either taken care of, or either they alarm the rest of the hive to gather more help. But with those Japanese hornets, it gets more and more difficult to fight them, and they usually lose against them, especially our European bees. So there's some very challenges causes to the death of massive dying of the bees in the world, and those are the, I would say, natural ones. However, there's some that are now annoyance. We through pesticides are doing a very bad things to bees, if I may say. The overuse of pesticides, the monoculture, meaning that before and for a long time ago, we were using the flowers into the field, agriculture field, to feed the soil. When they were dying, you would get into the soil, and the circle would be going in and again. The trees around would protect the crops in order to the wind to not blow everything down. However, with the use of pesticide, we decided that we could have a bigger surface that we could use in order to make a bigger profit of our lands. But after 35, 50 years of these techniques, we're now realizing that our soil are not good anymore. The water is not drained anymore through the floor, and everybody is suffering from that. The bees are now dying massively in Europe, in the United States of America, but also in China, all over the world, unfortunately. And this is only our fault. So the ones to blame are us. And I guess another part of the task about working with bees is trying to raise awareness about the importance of bees and other pollinators as well, because the bees play a key role in the pollination of the crops, which play 70% of the role, but they're also pollinating 2/3 of the crop here in the world. So if we're losing the bees, we starting slowly but surely starting to lose broccoli, apple, almonds, and many fruits, many vegetables, but not only. We were also starting to lose species due to the food chain that relies on some fruits or on some animals that eat their fruits, and that would see their food disappear.
And you were mentioning that in Europe, a lot of these pesticides are now banned, but they're still allowed here in
exactly.
America.
It's true. It's true. We've came into a major change in January and in March, this past March, when the European Food Safety Commission and the European Agriculture Commission decided to ban 3 of the most dangerous pesticide, neonicotinoids, on the market in Europe. So that was one of the big movements that we would expect from our government to protect our people and our bees, and especially because those pesticides are not only dangerous for the bees, but they might also be dangerous for a human being.
And the whole ecosystem also.
Definitely. And you know, when you have laboratories such as Bayer or Monsanto and many others that are fighting to say that the way they're using these pesticides are well thought and they're used with reason, is quite untrue. And actually Germany in 2008 refused to use some type of pesticide because the way they were implanting the seeding inside the soil were putting out some dust containing pesticide and would contaminating some of the crops that would be placed around those agriculture field. And there's also, I would call it plant sedation, which occur during the night, where you would have some chemical and water that are getting out of the plant, and bees in the morning would go and seek for water and would start to drink some of these water that would contain some pesticides. So here the biggest issue is pesticide might be fine in the way that if they were not consumed by the common animals or the species we're actually having right now. Monsanto is now working on pesticides resistant bees, which is very scary So they decide to create a problem and solving the problem by themselves. And by spreading the problem, they're making sure that the market will be only solved by their own solution. But that's not what we want. That's what we're trying to fight against. Because whenever a bee is drinking those water, they're starting to have some neurodysfunctional problems. And not only that, is they can carry that water inside the hive. And whenever they're reusing that, because whenever they get the nectar, they need to take it from the crop, put it back, and add some saliva to add some process to the nectar, and put it back in the crop. And then they're giving it away to other bees inside the hive. So they're spreading the disease through themselves naturally without knowing anything. That's what is the major problem. So this is happening. A lot of authorities right now are trying to raise awareness against pesticide, against massive agriculture, about GMO production, because in the long term, we won't be able to survive without bees. And unfortunately, the counter-argument that has been given by those laboratories is jobs. That we will lose a lot of jobs in Europe, and that a lot of people would suffer from crisis in the agriculture field. However, what they don't say to people is, if we're killing our bees, if you're killing our pollinators, the size of the market we're losing is 3 times the amount of the job we would lose by keeping these pesticides on. And it's not only we would lose we would lose our pollinating animals. We would lose also all these fruits, all these vegetables, all this food. So we would need to shift all of our habits and food habits on another market. We would barely be able to sustain on wheat, corn, and a few other alimentary based, which is not what people want to want today.
The grains that you mentioned, they're more and more being revealed as junk food, and we have an obesity problem, and it's because
definitely
of over.
Yes, it's an entire circle. Everything is a balance in a world, and I would say people don't think about the bigger picture. People only focus in their daily life instead of seeing that half of the production of almond in the world is produced in California. I'm sure you heard about the drought that are happening now in California, and that's what we're doing as humans to our planet. However, the bees are not able to survive in California. That's why they've been renting. That's why millions and millions and millions of hives every single year are taken in huge truck and are getting driven in California. The truck are being opened. All the hives are getting used to pollinating all these crops. And then whenever they're done, the ones that are coming are going to be reused for the next year, and the ones that are dying die. But this is not, for me, a proper way to see the future, to see the food system evolving. I've been raised around a local farm. I've been raised around non-pesticide and free GMO product, fresh product, seasonal product. And I guess it makes sense also because I'm French, because we love our food, we love to eat, and the taste matter. The taste and the way it has been produced matter. So it's our job, I guess, now to educate the coming up kids, and to not forget where we come from and how we should see our agriculture growing again.
And we have only a few minutes left, but your main focus in coming to this country has been social entrepreneurism, and we use the phrase, give a man a fish and he eats for a day, teach a man to fish and he eats for a lifetime. And this is, I'm gathering, an extension of that concept.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So right now in Cameroon, I was there 4 months ago. and we are currently working with a population to settle some hives in order to give some resources and revenue to the family on site, and be able to have different way of earning some money, and not only rely on one type of crop. So this helps them to enhance their way of life. And we, as Youth Action Africa, developed a side program which is called Be Aware, and we giving money to cook every single day, school day, to offer a free meal to children in order for them to study and spend their time on schoolwork instead of going to agriculture field and continue to work. So we are gathering interest through that program to these people, to be able to understand that nature is important. Not only money matters, but if you're taking a good care about your nature will give it to you back in the long run. Right now we're producing some very delicious honey, which is Hopu honey. It has been worldwide recognized for its purity, and is actually harvested in a very ancient forest on an ancient mountain volcano. So all these products are still good, I would say, are still very tasteful, and they have no syrup added into it. They have not been heated. People are eating them every morning, and they know why they eat them: to protect themselves from disease, to protect themselves, from asthma, from allergies, whatever we've been trying to get through medicines nowadays. We're trying to show people that it's not because it is old that it doesn't work. And currently, right now, our biggest fight is to show people, to teach people that what we were doing before might be the proper way to continue to do.
Yeah, because in developing countries, there's this big push.
Exactly.
Gotta be modern.
Exactly.
Exactly.
So you have to give the vision right now in order to be able to settle some basis and be able to ensure the long-term run of the agriculture. Managing forest is one of the key points right now in Africa. Managing the water supply is also one of the key points in Africa.
And those two go together.
Exactly,
Exactly.
exactly. When you have the phreatic sources in the ground, you need to tell people that you cannot only spread pesticide or fungicide on your crops, because the water you're drinking is actually contaminated by the pesticide you're putting on your culture, since it's getting drained into the soil and into the water. But there's a very strong lobbying that are right now in Africa, in Cameroon, that are very big means, that are proposing, very nice contract. But unfortunately, as I was saying again and again, on the long-term run, that might not be the solution that we need. So telling how to fish is right now having beekeepers on site, trying to teach them how to take care of the hive. Maybe trying to develop some crop around those hives to be able to give not only honey, but some other source of revenue through different other products.
And we need to close, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Florian Chupeau.
Thank you so much for having me.
This
Thank
was
you.
a very, very fascinating
Thank you.
conversation. Code Green, Howard Wiig. See you in 2 weeks.